right, what's up, everyone? Today's topics: semantic SEO, entity-oriented search, topical relevance. Again, today's topics: semantic SEO, entity-oriented search, and topical relevance. What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. We got a few more minutes to go. We have Koray in the background already. All right. Let me go ahead and get things set up here. All right. About 5 minutes to go. Let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. Johnson, hello. Burke, what's up, my man? Milano from Italy, what's up? We have Bradley from Toronto, Canada. What's up, my man? Stefan, welcome back every week. What's up? Happy Friday. We have Abjit from India. Wow, we're going worldwide today. Javi from Poland. We have Hyrich, is it Hyrich? Hyrich Kumar from Istanbul. We got Koray in the chat. What's up, my man? All right, today's topics. We're talking about topical relevance, semantic SEO, and entity-oriented search. Get your questions ready. I have a few of my own. Our guest today is one of the top 3 people I think about when I think about SEO, semantic SEO. It's going to be a good one. We got Tomisin from Nigeria. Architectural Sheet Metal 101, what's up? My background is in I was a nightclub promoter. So I was doing the MC a lot of my parties. That's about it. No radio. Architectural Sheet Metal 101 is from Canada. Oh, Hayirth Kumalar means Happy Friday in Turkish. Thank you for that. Wow, we got a party up in here. I was talking to Koray in the back room, and I said, hey, I've never had a video have so many likes before the live stream. Thank you guys for coming by early. This is gonna be a good one. All right. We have Yildirim. Hello. Melissa from South Africa. What's up? OMG, guys. This is probably the most worldwide episode I'm gonna have. Love it. Thank you, Koray, for helping me push this. You're the man. All right, we got about 1 more minute to go. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. One more time, we're going to be talking about semantic SEO, NT-oriented search, and topical relevance. All right, guys. Got 10 seconds. We got another last minute hello from Christopher. What's up?
Started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of Holistic SEO, Koray Guber. All right, before we get started, I want to say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Koray, Zen, so many more, Christopher, Yildim, Melissa, Hobby, Stefan. Oh my God, there's so many of you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Why did Tiger Woods start studying SEO? To get his #1 ranking back.
All right, let's first start with Google News. Want to rank in Google News? Danny Sullivan of the Google Search Liaison gave a special presentation on the Google News Initiative channel. Let's check it out.
So we have systems that try to figure out, oh, that looks like news to us. It looks like good news content. We should be considering it to show in various news services, as long as also the publishers have what we refer to as high levels of expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, that we understand there's a consistent history of producing original news content, and that the content is all complying with our news policies. One thing people always want to know is, well, how do I rank better? How do I ensure that my content shows up well or surfaces in front of people? And we look at a variety of things. Is the content relevant? Someone's entered some words, and is this content relevant to those words? That's sort of a core aspect, as you would expect. We try to understand the prominence of a news story, and that doesn't mean that the story is the biggest thing on the page, but we try to understand if there's a particular topic that's trending a lot, or a lot of people are referring to, and that would help us understand, for instance, if we're doing headlines, if we need to have clusters of stories about a particular aspect of a news story. We try to understand the authoritativeness of content and how solid it seems to be, freshness of content, the location, both of where the content is coming from and from someone doing a search that we're showing content that may be relevant to their location. And very related to that would be if the content is written in the language. So these are ranking factors.
He goes on to talk about the need for transparency. So you want to make sure you don't use written by staff, and you want to make sure you have the published dates and add all that stuff up. All right. So we want to go on to our next piece of news. Sam O went over 6 local link building strategies this past week. Let's check it out. Here are the first 3.
So let's talk about some easy local link building tactics. The first way is to join your local Chamber of Commerce. A Chamber of Commerce is simply a business network for local organizations. And most major cities and even smaller suburban towns will have a Chamber of Commerce. The next way is to join niche relevant business associations. These types of links are much like Chamber of Commerce links. For legitimate business associations, authority will be high and local relevance will be there too. So to find niche relevant business associations, you can search in Google for any of these search queries. So let's move on to the next tactic, which is local resource page link building. Resource page link building is where you get backlinks from web pages that curate and link out to useful industry resources. And it works really well because the purpose of the pages are to literally link out to relevant and helpful resources. So you might search for in URL : resources.html Toronto wedding venue. Then click on the results and see if there are any appropriate places for you to ask to be considered as a resource.
Once you have these links, how do you make them even better? Loren Baker takes Jason Barnard's leapfrogging SEO technique to create more powerful links. Let's check it out.
But at the end of the day, you should really be looking at that SERP and thinking, what content do I want to show on that SERP and how can I get it there? And some of that, which is kind of ironic, is doing SEO for others. So you actually end up doing SEO for others to promote pages on page 2 or content on page 2 and push it up onto page 1 to replace the content. I call that leapfrogging. And it's lovely because as an SEO expert, all of this is really simple SEO. And you can do SEO for others just like you can do SEO for yourself, which is something I think a lot of people don't really think about, but is actually very valuable.
That is interesting. I do a lot of that from a link acquisition perspective too. If I can get a really good link from a really good site or a good site or a site that's mediocre and can be better, I will take the time to help that site owner make their site better. Therefore, my link is worth more at the end of the day for my client.
Love that. I'm curious, do you do SEO for other sites to benefit you? This is something I do when I do some reputation management for my clients. This week, Ted Kubaitus was on the NFG channel and talked about a new long tail ranking game. It's a new long tail ranking game in SEO. Let's see what he's talking about.
I've been looking at clustering very closely for about the past 3 weeks and soliciting examples of pages that rank for hundreds, if not thousands of keywords and looking at what's actually going on. And the best that I can tell, what I see happening is that, you know, in the old way, you go back 10 years, the long tail keyword approach was you'd tune one keyword per page, but you'd tune them for long tail keywords that were easy to rank for. And by doing that, you would capture long tail traffic. So that way died. And what's come out of it is now there's a cost of entry to play the long tail traffic game. You must first rank for one keyword.
Yes, dude, I love it. Yes.
And then upon successfully doing that, you can pepper that page with closely related keywords, and you will pick up broad match organic traffic.
That's it. Exactly right, dude.
And then there's a problem, though, in that you can't drift too far from that keyword you ranked for.
This brings me to my favorite part of the show. My guest is a beast when it comes to topical relevance and semantic SEO. Please ask questions in the live chat and I will address them in the order that they were received. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell while I get things ready here. Koray has more than 6 years of SEO experience. He publishes in-depth SEO case studies, research papers, and detailed A/B tests. He uses data science, visualization, front-end coding, and Google Patents for his SEO projects. He is currently contributor author on OnCrawl, Jet Octopus, Authoritas, SERPstat, NewsDash, and InLinks. He is a speaker on the SEO webinars with RankSense and Authoritas. He has worked with over 200 companies. Please welcome the founder and owner of Holistic SEO and Digital, Koray Guber. Koray, my man, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, Andrew, and this is the best introduction that I have ever had, so thank you for that. I will always remember it.
Oh yeah. No, thank you for being my special guest today. I mean, when it comes to semantic SEO, there's three people I think of: Bill Slawski, Dixon Jones, and Koray Guber. So welcome. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, I want to get right into it. The first thing I always ask all my SEO professionals, in 1 minute, tell me at a high level, how does Koray get on page one?
Oh, it's actually an easy question. We all know that. But if you want to be ranked at the first page, you shouldn't just focus on a single section of the SEO or a single vertical. Try to use universal search, try to use a universal perspective, try to focus on local perspective or image perspective, video perspective. Also try to focus on semantics and also off-page SEO. That's why my company is called Holistic SEO. Do not try to use only one hammer or one nail. Try to use all of them at the same time.
Boom! First knowledge bomb drop. Thank you, Koray, for that. All right. I love that. Okay, you know what? I have to rewind this real quick. Koray, you have to tell us, how'd you even first get into SEO?
Oh, it's one of the best questions that you can ask me, to be honest, because there is a funny story behind that. One of the friends that I will never forget and I will always remember, he told me that there is something called SEO when I was in the gym during university and I was thinking to find or seek a kind of job. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard about the SEO, I thought that it is a kind of element from chemistry, and I was about to tell that, may I sell it like a drug? It is like ecstasy. So I thought that SEO or hash. So I thought that it's a kind of formula, there are letters there. So I was about to ask a couple of questions about science, then he started to explain everything to me, and he was a black hat SEO, and he was using lots of things there. He told me that there are these type of websites and we are manipulating the page rank and we are trying to create a kind of SERP that as we want. So it has started to be a kind of fun thing for me. Then I have applied a couple of companies and I have started from both of the verticals as white hat and also black hat.
Love it. Nice. Yeah. We have a question. We have a comment here from Roman saying, hey, at the gym, Jim makes miracles. Wish you the best, guys. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roman, for that. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to take it back. Okay. So now you've like first heard about it, SEO at the gym. Now, how did you actually learn it? Like, how did you actually even learn it when you were like, where did you go to like learn the stuff?
Yeah, it's also another really nice question. When it comes to the learning SEO, until I created a team, I thought that learning SEO is easy. But when I started to teach it to someone else, then I have started to notice that it's actually not easy to learn. Since I learned it like 6 years ago, I thought that it would be easy because I have forgotten how I learned it. And to be honest, I couldn't learn it in the agencies, in the SEO agencies, because they are traditional white hat industry agencies. But to be honest, Belislavski's articles, Sean Anderson from Scotland, and Mary Haynes and her articles, they all helped me. And thanks to the SEO A/B test culture and a couple of friends from the black hat industry, I was lucky enough to learn it.
Love it. So you actually found how Bill Slock is one of your like people that you followed. You're actually testing. Testing is a big thing, a way to learn SEO, and I highly recommend everyone out there, if you want to learn SEO, try to test things and do things yourself. All right. So I wanted to go into things of right into semantic SEO. All right. So I want to say, like, you're very known and you have so much research on semantic SEO and entity-oriented search. At a very high level for the non-technical people out there, please explain what semantic SEO is and entity-oriented search is to our audience.
Okay, I can do that. So semantic SEO actually starts with semantic web, and semantic web has been announced in 1999. And first semantic search engine patent of Google, it has been filed at the same year by Sergey Brin. For instance, Sergey Brin, like 21 years ago, 22 years ago, he tried to create a semantic search engine just for the books. He scraped Amazon, and he tried to create a kind of semantic search engine that can understand which book belongs to which author. So it is different than traditional information retrieval, because in information retrieval, you can check the string similarity. You can't understand what it means, but you can check string similarity. And when it comes to the string similarity, we have a couple of traditional algorithms. For instance, edit-based distance or token-based distance or sequence-based distance. So I know that these things are a bit technical. I'm sorry for mentioning them. But in short, all of these algorithms are there just for checking the similarities of different strings, nothing else. But when it comes to the semantic SEO or when it comes to the semantic search engines, everything changed suddenly, because now every string has a meaning. And not just a meaning, they also have similar types, they have connections, and they have similar attributes with each other. So information extraction is easier now. Basically, it is about that, and semantic SEO uses these connections to create a better relevance and contextual sharpness for the search engines.
Got it. All right. So, okay, with all that just compacted within just that few minutes, like if someone wants to get like learn it, like kind of get the understanding of semantic SEO, entity-oriented search, where can someone go to, or like how can they learn this?
Okay, I'm actually lucky about that, because I love reading. But if you don't like reading, it will be a little bit hard, to be honest, because when it comes to the semantics, there are lots of thousands of research papers, lots of articles, and lots of patents that belong to the Bing and also the Google. And it's also about natural language processing, natural language generation, and also natural language understanding. So it's not so easy. But the first rule is reading. You will need to read a lot, to be honest. And once you read all these things, you will be able to create some connections between all of the research papers. So I was lucky that actually I have read a lot about Belislavski. For instance, SEO at the SEObythesea.com, he has more than 1,319 articles. Actually, he has published another one, so it's 20 now. And I actually read probably more than 700 of it. And I am lucky to be able to read all of them. And if you read all of these things, you will start to realize that how they can actually unite all of these things. For instance, predictive information retrieval, open information retrieval, or entity reconciliation, browsable fact repository, or any kind of fact extraction or fact accuracy checking, or data to text, text to data, triples. After a point, when you check a web page, these type of terms actually just pops up in your brain. So it requires reading, to be honest.
All right, guys, if you want to learn this stuff, you got to read. I mean, there's a bunch of books out there. I know there's one book by Dixon that just came out, Entity SEO, I believe, just came out. You can maybe learn something there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give a copy of that book out right now. Let me know where Koray is from. Put it in the live chat, and I'll give a copy of this book to where he's from. Put it out there. Give the first 3 people to put it right. And Koray, you let us know if they made it right. Okay, we actually had a question come in here. Hi, Koray. A few weeks ago, Google suspended its NLP demo. Do you have an alternative to suggest to people without the coding abilities to directly interface with the API?
Yeah, I understand your point. So I believe they have disabled it because it has been used a lot without the purpose of being a demo. So I believe they have removed it. That's why. And at the moment, actually, we have lots of other types of NLP tools just there as online. And Google's own NLP, standard NLP API and its demo is actually just about recognizing entities and extracting sentiment analysis or creating the syntax tree between the words as seconds. So these things can be done easily actually with Spaces, for instance, or you can use GPT-J. GPT-J is different than GPT-3, it's free. You asked me that a solution without coding, but for instance, you can try maybe Explosion AI. In Explosion AI, as I know, there is a section there. It can help you for name entity recognition. When it comes to do sentiment analysis, try to check a couple of NLP engineers in Google Docs. There are a couple of add-ons, as I can remember, like Bjorn's. I don't remember the guy's name, but there is someone Bjorn's tool or something like that. Just check it. I believe you will be able to find it. And there are a couple of things, but my suggestion is to you just try to understand it a little bit, the coding. It's not so hard. For instance, Spaces is one of the easiest languages out there for NLP.
Love it. All right, Massimiliano, I hope that answers your question. He actually has another one here. Let me just take it in before we go to the other ones here. We have many people miss the point between the relationship between entities and keywords. Can you clarify?
Yeah. So let me just make us remember a patent from Google. It is called entity association for queries. Mm-hmm. So when you search for a string, actually the first thing that Google or any other search engine does is recognizing the language or detection of the language. Once they are able to detect the language, they will actually connect that phrase or that query to an entity. So when it comes to the entities, it's a little bit philosophical, but they don't need any kind of word, any kind of voice, or any kind of thinking mind to exist. They are just meanings out there. So when you use a keyword or any kind of word, Google will need to, or any kind of semantic search engine will need to associate an entity to a keyword. And based on context and based on your search behaviors, the context can change. Same query can be connected to another entity based on the context. So when it comes to the connection or relation between entities and keywords, to create a better topical relevance, you will need to create your contextual domain or contextual signal or contextual relevance clearly. So these keywords will help you. For instance, as I can remember, in the phrase-based indexing research paper and also patent, a Googler, she talks about co-occurrence matrix. Imagine that you have 1 billion documents from web, and there are certain types of co-occurrence matrices there. And all of these co-occurrence matrices create a kind of entity connections. So every keyword is connected to another one, and also entities are at the same way.
Wow. Love it, love it. That was very clear and concise. I love that. All right, Master Maliano, I hope that answers your question. We actually got one here from Hobby. The future of semantic SEO trend is culture of data-driven design. Would you agree?
Data-driven design, actually we can call it like that because it depends on how we think, but for instance, for me, I usually try to calculate the scores of the search engines. They actually have a couple of scores. For instance, candidate passage answers or contextual candidate passage answer scores, or for instance, distinctiveness scores or bridge word scores. There are lots of different types of scores out there. And when it comes to the semantic SEO, everything is about scores and everything is about numbers. So data-driven design will give you a kind of calculation habit. You will start to think like it's the search engine, and you will need to understand every document from the point of the search engine. So it will give you a kind of score at the background, and you can scrape maybe 100,000 of documents from the same topic, and you can aggregate the data, and you can extract questions, you can extract answers, and you can create your own document based on data. So I agree with that.
Oh yeah. All right. Okay. We. You know what? I have so many questions coming in. I want to ask Mike for one of my questions here. All right. I want to say, like, on the Jet Octopus website, you actually posted a case study on increasing traffic for over 300%, right? So in that case study, what would you say the top 3 things are in there to help you move that needle to help others that want to increase their traffic by 300%?
Actually, that SEO case study is really important for me because someone really, really important, the Hamlet Batista, he also noticed the value of the theory there and he shared that. So I always remember that case study thanks to him. And of course, Jet Octopus has a great value for me thanks to Julia. And on that case study, there is a term that I have focused on, which is ranking signal consolidation and ranking signal delusion. If you listen to John Mueller for the last 3 or maybe 4 Webmaster Hangouts, he always used a term, delusion. If you do this too much, you might dilute things. He always tells that. But he doesn't tell what we are actually diluting there. Is it relevance? Is it ranking signals or ranking power or something else, context, for instance? So I have used this term there, and it was the beginning of it. The ranking signal consolidation and ranking signal delusion means that actually you don't give clear signals for the search engine, and search engine doesn't know which page should be ranked for which query, how long. So that was the problem there, and I have cleaned lots of pages there, and I have solved the index bloating. And then I have fixed, of course, the crawl path. I cleared the crawl path of the search engine. Then we had all of the traffic back. It was the main perspective of that case study.
Damn! Oh, wow. All right, guys. So if you want to catch that and increase your traffic by 300%, rewind that at that moment. All right. Thank you, Koray. The chat is going crazy here. Let me go ahead and say Stefan actually asked, Koray, explain how he approaches creating a topical map.
It's really, really critical. And actually, there are lots of things there. And in my future semantic SEO course, it will be the first topic. I will demonstrate a real world case study there, and I will explain that. But let's explain a couple of terms that I didn't explain before because they're a little bit technical. Before creating a kind of topical map, you should determine 4 or 5 things that are essential. For instance, your central search intent and your central entity. If you check Google's own patterns, they also call these as central entity or main entity. Every topic or every topical map or every network of content should have a central search intent or central entity. The other thing is that, or the third thing is context of the source. If you focus on a topic as a travel industry company, or if you focus on the same topic as just a regular e-commerce site, your context will shift, and based on that context, you will need to change all of the attributes of the same entities. So creating a topical map, it's not just about scraping the titles of the papers that are ranking or scraping the people also ask questions. it's actually a bit more technical and it requires a little bit further investigation there. You should be able to understand when you should include an entity to your topical map, with what attribute, with what question, and what is the order or prioritization there. Also, your competition level is important. If your competitor is so strong, if its coverage, topical coverage is so high, and historical data for that competitor, if it is too much, it means that you will need a more granular topical map. So it's crucial, but there is a little bit too much technical things also at the same time.
Love it. Love it. Okay, Koray. So I wanted to go into something you mentioned like a little bit earlier, because I believe as on Rank Ranger, you're actually talking about natural language generators. And so, you know, I know about NLP. So can you talk a little bit more about what is a natural language generator?
Yeah, I can explain that. Natural language generation is a part of natural language understanding and processing. Actually, natural language processing just means giving ability to the machines to understand the human language. And when it comes to generation, you give the same type of ability so that the machines can generate human language or like human text. And natural language generators, I believe of course, they are really, really important for SEO, but they won't be used just for SEO. Probably our future robots will use these technologies. And when it comes to natural language generation, it will change the face of the SEO. At the moment, I know some valuable people who test the content that has been generated with AI, and they are able to rank them really, really well. There are, of course, a couple of problems there. For instance, every natural language generator use similar sentence structures. If you are not able to create your own transformer, you might end up creating really, really similar and repeated content out there. So in the future, I believe, and that's why it's one of my purposes, and that's why I have a machine learning book here. So I try to learn things at the same time. So in the future, you might need to learn what are the transformers or how you create a better content thanks to the natural language generation and understanding and processing. And also you might need human editors that can fix the errors of the AI.
Love it. Okay, the secret question here. So then, do you use any of these natural language generators in your toolkit?
I actually have a couple of tools. Some people have also gifted some of them. For instance, I can recommend you to Genie AI, for instance. You can check it. And you can check the GPT-J. It's also nice. I am also accepted to do GPT-3 open beta. I have configured a couple of things there. But to be honest, I don't have enough time to use these type of things. At the moment, I have more than 60 emails that I need to read. And in the future, I am thinking to use my own transformers. And at the moment, I didn't use, but I know people who use them, and they are able to rank it. So as long as I know the know-how, it's okay for me.
Excellent!
All right. So yeah, please let us know when you put that out. I would definitely check it out. So with that said, I want to, like, we even have some more questions coming in here. All right, let's see. We have one from Paul. You mentioned before using Keyword Cupid and other tools. Are you also still doing the things manual with finding topical relevance keywords? Example, going through Google what people ask, etc.
Yes, I'm actually creating most of my topical maps manually. Keyword Cupid is a helper tool, but it uses string similarity. So in other words, it uses phrase taxonomy to create a kind of hierarchy between topics and subtopics. But when it comes to do semantic SEO, you will need to use your own brain a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. And that's why most of the time I use my own methodologies, and they include multiple things. Sometimes I check an infographic, sometimes I check a book, for instance, or I check search instances from 5 years ago. Sometimes I check multiple tools, and since I know the entities and how they are connected to each other, I actually extract the attributes, I generate the questions from there. I will suggest you to check question generation methods of the search engines. It will help you to create better topical maps.
Where can someone find that? You said question generated. What was that again?
Question generation methods of the search engines.
Okay, all right. Okay, so with that said, we had another one here about Kayak Life. Kayak Life asks, is entity similar to the idea of OOP, object-oriented programming? Is entity like an object? Then we can have objects stored or associated with other objects?
Yes, it's really, really nice question. Actually, it's really similar, and the visualization sample of it actually basically the same. Mm-hmm. Basically, let me give you an example. For instance, in 2011, I believe, as I can remember, Google bought a company that is called Wavi, and they bought the company Wavi because they have generated or explored or created a new methodology. It is called open information extraction. And in the open information extraction, Wavi used it to extract every kind of entity on the open web. Google usually calls these entities unknown entities, but thanks to the open information extraction, they were able to actually extract these entities or recognize them. And in the context of object-oriented programming, they actually generate or extract or scrape multiple and common answers for all of these unknown entities, and then they actually store them as just a kind of attribute of that object. So there is one object and two subjects. So they're really similar.
All right, Kayak Life. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so keep asking your question, guys, because I'm coming close to the end of my questions here. So you actually talked about, correct me if I'm wrong, did you say you're going to mention creating a course soon? Was that something you were planning on doing?
Yes, I am creating a course, and I am planning to finish it like in 2 months. Ooh. But I have a couple of problems against speaking to camera, so it makes me slow down. But I guess I will figure it out.
All right, I can't wait for that to come out. Let me know, send me a video promoting it, and I'll play it here on the show for you. Okay, so I got you. Okay, so I actually want to take it back even earlier in our conversation, because you were actually saying that you were actually playing with white hat and black hat, right? And you were like, white hat, black hat. I'm curious, what were some things that you were doing in the black hat? Because I always ask this question because when you think of like a black hat, you're actually not necessarily, you're like testing things, right? You're trying to figure things out, and sometimes it gets classified as black hat. I'm curious, like, what were the things that you're doing that were black hat that you're testing out that's possibly like still works to today? I'm curious.
Okay, so to be honest, after the medic update, which is the first day of August in 2018, I believe, as I can remember, or maybe 19, sorry, it has changed everything, and all of the methodologies that we have used, they were all garbage after that day. So we couldn't make them work again, and that's why I have moved into the white hat SEO industries. It was a change for me. So Google forced me to play the clean, and since these methods don't work at the moment, last time I checked them, they didn't work, so I can explain them. So the best method that we actually used is instant traffic increase. Let me explain the theory behind that a little bit.
All right.
So there is something that Google call rank merge. So let me just explain what the rank merge is. It's about page rank. So let's imagine that on the open web, we have a web graph and we have a web page just here. It has the highest page rank on all of these open web area, but it doesn't have any traffic. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now we have another web page here in the open web and also in the web graph. It doesn't have any kind of traffic, but it has too much traffic, but it doesn't have any kind of page rank. So this website, for instance, it can be actually, sorry for saying, but it can be a porn site or adult site because no one links to the porn sites, but everyone visits it. So it doesn't have page rank, but it has traffic. For instance, just here, this might be a kind of academic research paper. It has page rank, but no one reads it. So it doesn't have any kind of traffic there. Mm-hmm. So rank merge is about uniting or balancing the traffic and the page rank. So whenever we suddenly increase the traffic of a web page, we have used pop ads to do that. Whenever we increase it, Google started to crawl the website, and suddenly it started to increase our traffic or rankings at the same time. And also we have used, of course, multiple methods at the same time, like linking it, or like changing the link structure behind it, or like changing all of the design there. So whenever we use a sudden traffic increase, it has increased our rankings sudden, and we have used that method lots of time. The other methods, for instance, that we have used, they're subdomains. It is called inorganic site structure. If you check the Bing's own webmaster spam guidelines, etc., you will see inorganic site structure there. By the way, Bing has more open language against the SEOs. I want to tell that. And there you will realize something. If you have lots of subdomains and all of them have a different design and also a different brand name or colorization, if you link to the main domain, all of these links will be perceived as external links. So you'll be able to pass as much as page rank as you want. And it has worked really good and really well so long time. And I believe Google has removed these things from its algorithm because people started to sell subdomains, including me. We were selling subdomains because it was making money and everyone was buying it. The other method, for instance, sending sitemap or pinging sitemaps in the name of someone else. It was really good. And while we are doing it, we were using hreflangs. Imagine that I am pinging a sitemap for your website, but as we all know, we can use hreflangs in the sitemaps, and we were putting our own websites into the hreflang section. The truth is, Google shares all of the page rank between the alternates. So when I say in the name of you that your website's alternate is actually mine, your page rank starts to become mine. So you will be able to do this also for Amazon or maybe Wikipedia. So we were able to rank whatever we want at that time, to be honest. There are also lots of other things that people, and including us too, and I am telling these things because they are not working anymore, and I am happy that they are not working. And we all know that if someone is really black at SEO, they actually don't tell anything working, to be honest. They don't explain things.
Love it. That little history on Black Hat SEO. I mean, sometimes I'm saying, like, you know, when I've seen this all the time, when they say something doesn't work, you know, like to maybe 10, 15 years later, you can try it again and see what happens, because, like, you know, the auto changes. So, hey guys, that's educational purposes only. But I'm definitely going to kind of rewind that and take a look and see what that was all about. Okay. we had a bunch, because you had some great ideas there. You were giving me some ideas, right? Because when Black Hat is just thinking outside the box, right? You're really just thinking outside of the box and, like, why does it work? And then just, you know, maybe adding your own twist to it. But you gave me some great ideas. All right. Okay, well, we got a question here from Stefan. Do you have any experience with latent intent SEO, and does that make sense in the context of semantic SEO?
I believe he's talking about latent semantic indexing, and if he talks about the LSI keywords or something like that, you don't need to actually worry about that, because as I can remember, as an NLP and linguistic professor, Susan Dumains. My English is not perfect. Maybe I am pronouncing her last name in a non-correct way, but it should be Susan Dumains. She actually explored it like in 1972. And LSI technology, it has been used until 90s, but then actually we have a better technology now. It is something like that. If you check the first patent of Google, hypertextual search engine from the Stanford, you will realize there's something they call keyword heat. They actually create keyword lists in the data storage, and if one of the keywords from your document hits from that storage, it means that you have a relevance. This was the first method that Google uses. And in the context of LSI, there are actually indexes with the words, and if you hit one of them, it means that actually you hit others too. So you don't actually need to focus on that. Just try to focus on the word proximity, for instance, or synonyms, or synonymization, or synonym extraction. These things are more valuable, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. And never say LSI when you're around Bill Slawski. He will slap you. So he just... All right, guys. Okay, we have a few more minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and go into questions. Oh, we actually have Mike Pierce here. He says... my casino subdomains may beg to differ. So, hey, guys, it may be still working, guys. All right. And then we have here Paul. Paul asks, do you find that hard balance with semantic SEO / NLPs and writing? Let me see. Hold on, let me pull this out here. Do you find a hard balance with semantic SEO / NLPs and writing content for the user? More significantly, trying to prevent fluff, but still having engaging content while not confusing the SERPs.
It's really nice question. Thank you for asking, Paul. Because whenever I check a kind of research paper or a kind of patent from the Google, they actually talk about relevance is correct. They also talk about the information extraction or question and answer pairing. But also, for instance, they also talk about readability of the content, length of the content, or reading time calculation, or for instance, the human friendliness in the content. So if you write in the content in a correct way, you don't need to actually worry about that. But let me explain a perspective from there. Most people, like 95% of the people, they will actually not read every word on the web page. And when it comes to the semantic SEO, it's actually making every section independently relevant to the main context. And every section should be independently satisfying just as is. So that's why a fluff will be there. And that's why Google is trying to land you to the middle of the web page or bottom of the web page according to your main search intent. So that fluff actually makes that section more relevant. And there is something other that's called evidence-based ranking. In the evidence-based ranking, there are two different rankings. For instance, coverage-based ranking and strength-based ranking. If you repeat the evidence across all of the content, it will actually give a better possibility for you to rank in the feature snippet because you will have more candidate passage answers. Sorry for using these technical terms, but I hope it's clear a little bit.
Yeah, that deserves damn, because I mean that makes sense, right? I mean that works a lot there. I mean, okay, we're coming close to time here, so I want to make sure I cover everyone's questions here. We have one more from Hobby. Is that possible that SEO technology is it possible that SEO technology can add contextual relevant links to appropriate pages at scale?
Yes, actually, I will need to mention Hamlet second time here because he has lots of patents in the UPS2, or I don't know how to pronounce it. One of the tools that Hamlet had was this, by the way. He actually tried to design a technology for that. And it's actually possible, but to do that, you will need to check lots of things at the same time. For instance, it's not like finding a string and putting a fixed link there. You will need to actually understand the main search intents or web page types there. So it can be done, but to do that, I believe we will have to wait maybe 1 or 2 years more.
All right, Hobby, I hope it answers your questions. Okay, we got another one here. I want to make sure we get answer this because we have Ilgin says, I see that everyone here knows SEO more or less. Do you have any more suggestions for beginners? For what are some of the books that you read to get you got onto the semantic SEO?
Okay, by the way, I know Ilgin. She has a real potential and she is an exceptional person, I can tell. So in this case, I would suggest every beginner to read a lot. Most of the SEOs don't read. I am sorry for saying that, but really, including my team, by the way, I tell them to read, but they don't read. So I don't know why, but we will need to read a lot. For instance, in my reading list now, I have articles from Glenn Gabe, and I have 2 articles from Bill Slavsky, and 1 article from also Dixon James in this context. So reading will make you better. And the other thing is that you should know who you will read. So try to choose carefully and try to implement all of the things. And the other thing is that when you perform a test to learn SEO, do not create a kind of conclusion like in 2 days. You will need to wait longer to take a real feedback from the search engine and try to create more samples to test out.
Love it. Okay, we have a couple more. I mean, a lot of shouts out to Hamlet Bautista. He was actually supposed to be here on the show as well. And we have Mike calling out Hamlet. Okay, we have. All right, let me go ahead and take this last question here by Stefan. Stefan asks, are writing assistants like Jarvis helpful? Do you feel Jarvis AI is helpful to SEO?
Okay, I have used the Jarvis AI or Gen AI, also the Ink, by the way. I didn't mention it, but lately Ink also has a natural language generator too. Most of these tools actually use the GPT-3 with different configurations. So they actually use an API and they sell a configured API for you. So I can tell you that it's useful, but after a point, web will start to bloat it. And let me explain, for instance, one extra research paper from Google. They try to understand who is the real owner or author of a content based on just the vectoral representation of text. So imagine that every sentence can be turned into a vector and your sentence structure is different than a machine. But imagine that on the web, there are 1 billion websites and they all use the same structure all the time, same sequences. So actually Google will be able to understand that these authors are not real there. So in the future, I would suggest you to use your own customized and natural language generators. But for now, yes, it has value.
All right, Stefan. I hope that answers your question. I got one more that snuck in here, and I gotta ask this one because this is from my mastermind brother here. We got Garth Williams. Dixon suggests using entities with internal linking. Do you agree?
Okay, we will need a little bit more details there because yes, entities can be used for internal links, but without context, you shouldn't link something to something. For instance, when it comes to an entity, the other day, I didn't share it yet, but the other day I have shared another article within the news dash. It is about news SEO, and I am talking about the internal links there too. So when it comes to the internal links based on the entities, you will need to specifically tell the context there. If it is, for instance, let's think about the Liverpool, for instance. If it is about transfers, or if it is about internal agent of Liverpool, or if it is about the fans of the Liverpool, you will need to link somewhere else because the attributes are different, but entities are same. So we always have Liverpool as the entity, but attributes are different, like fans or transfers or new players or winnings, losses, history. So these things are different attributes, and the pages or the internal links will change. And based on the context, main context of the document, your linkable or your link candidates or potential link targets will change as well.
Look at all these knowledge bombs you're dropping, Koray. You're on fire here. You're on fire. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, I'll take this one. This one may be a quick one. Oh my God! Please, tips for indexing pages. Do you have any tips on indexing pages here?
Okay, I will also share a case study in the future for that. I couldn't finish the article for 2 months. Sorry for that. And when it comes to the indexing, it's not just about cost. For instance, from Tristan Upstill, he is also a Googler. He has a really, really nice quote. By the way, the case study will start with that quote. He tells that there are 2 types of cost of retrieving: cost of retrieving and not retrieving. So imagine that search engine tries to calculate the cost of indexing and also cost of not indexing. So if there is a bigger cost for you in terms of indexing, search engine will slow down your budget there and they won't create any kind of hurry there. So because, to be honest, Google doesn't need another website on the SERP. Already most of the website is able to actually satisfy the users, and as Sergey Brin says, Google has been created for users, not for the websites. So if you want Google to index your website, that's why the semantic SEO is a little bit more important. You should be cheaper and more efficient. Check all of the competitors there, create a kind of indexing quality threshold in your mind and try to overcome that threshold with consistency and with positive feedbacks from the SERP, and eventually it will be better. By saying be cheaper, be more clear in terms of understandability, including links or with lighter web page layout or lighter resources like fonts, images, or CSS or JavaScript, and also try to create directly clear indexing signals or crawling signals. So I know this is a little complicated, but when you read the case today, I believe you will understand better.
All right, all right. Is that case study going to come out on your website on holisticseo.digital?
Yeah, long version will be there.
All right.
Short version, I don't know
All right, guys, I'm going to put a lot of links. I mean, I have a collection of links to Koray's stuff. I'll put it in the description because, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about here, but the time is like, we're coming close to the very time. And I have to ask my last question that I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. Koray, so if you want to, I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit. If someone wants to get into the SEO industry, become an SEO professional, what are some tips that you can give them?
First advice from me is do not focus on the money. Focus on the success and focus on the getting the talents. It's more important. For instance, I am not here because I focused on the money. I am here because I always loved the SEO and I cared about the new information. It's about making SEO your own passion. And if you are not passionate enough, you might lose yourself after a point because SEO is really not easy. And I know lots of people who left the industry. Sorry for being a little bit pessimistic here, but I'm also telling the truth. So this is the first advice. The second advice is that try to understand what probabilistic thinking is. SEO is a probabilistic area, not deterministic. If you think like if you do A, B will happen. It won't. In SEO, it's not like that. There is always a probability for happening that, but it's not certain. Do not think like a kind of deterministic mind. It's really bad. Try to learn the difference between correlation and causation. Try to understand what positivism is and what scientific thinking is. It will help you in SEO and also in any other area. And do not be afraid of coding. It's also important, and after a point, it will be inevitable, to be honest.
Love it. But you gotta say, in the SEO, being in the SEO industry, there is a decent amount of money to be made. All right, guys. That concludes my we're coming to the very end here. I want to go and give the stage to Koray. If there's any last words, last pieces of advice, comments, or anything you want to do, please, and also please let us know how we can get a hold of you.
They can actually reach out me from Twitter, they can reach out me from LinkedIn, and they can actually reach out from me, my email, my website, and everywhere. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I love you all. Really, thank you for following and reading my articles. I know how they boring are, and still you read them. So it means a lot to me. Thank you.
All right, Koray. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, but can you hold on for just one quick second while I sign off?
Of course.
All right. All right, guys. That concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, cause the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul-Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!